There are tons of exotics in Destiny 2, many of them with exotic catalysts. But while some catalysts barely scratch the surface of who cares, others almost completely change or define the gun. As we enter the final days of this way too long year, I'm going to count down what I consider to be 10 must-have exotic catalysts going into 2024 in D2. But time out on the content real quick, because fellas, we got to talk about yo with the sponsor of today's video, MANSCAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAA got something special that's going to take your grooming game to the next level, the Manscaped Perfect Package 5.0 Ultra. First and foremost, it includes the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, a grooming powerhouse. It comes with 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade heads, the skin-safe trimmer blade and skin-safe foil blade. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, of course, has a bigger LED spotlight illuminating those hard-to-see and/or reach areas. And as always, you know that bad boy is waterproof, allowing you to groom in the shower or maybe in a rainstorm if you're feeling frisky. You'll also get Crop Soother Ball Aftershave Lotion and Crop Preserver Clear Drying Lotion with Soothing Aloe Vera. Is it funny to think about lotioning your balls? Sure is, but you know what's not funny? Razor burn on your coin purse. Keep it all together on your holiday travels with the Shed Travel Bag 2.0, a premium travel bag that'll hold all them grooming essentials on the go or in one place under the sink. Do you have a dad, a boyfriend, a guy friend, a regular friend, a complete stranger in your life that's hard to shop for on the holidays? Well, the Perfect Package 5.0 Ultra is your easy gift answer. Head over to manscaped.com/falloutplays and get 20% off your order. Again, 20% off at manscaped.com/falloutplays. Your jingle balls will thank you. All right, we back. Coming in at number 10, we have Leviathan's Breath. The old junkyard bow got buffed in early 2023 and transformed from being mostly a meme into a respectable DPS dealing machine in endgame PvE content. With the catalyst, not only does your inventory size get bumped up from 10 to 15 for free, but you also get Archer's Tempo, aka your bow's draw time will become quicker after every precision hit. Normally, the amount of draw time reduction given from Archer's Tempo is around 25%. However, Bungie went ahead and made Archer's Tempo even better on Leviathan's Breath, specifically wanting it to fire even quicker when activated. Because the draw time reduction is dependent on landing a crit, I really recommend that you use Lev on any boss with a really easy to hit crit spot or in conjunction with a teammate rocking Divinity. If you don't have it yet, the Levy's Catalyst can randomly drop from defeating orange bar enemies with the exotic anywhere in the game. A great method I heard from Reddit to get the catalyst to appear is to simply load up the beginning of the Grasp of Avarice dungeon and use the big bow to repeatedly snipe the Hive wizards on repeat. GG no re. Next at number 9, a new challenger approaches Thorn. Thorn just got its catalyst added to the game in Season of the Wish, and already it's proving to be a major boon to the gun overall. And I'm not just saying that because I have a boner for Thorn in general. At the base level, Thorn's stats are what most players would consider kinda mid. When the catalyst is equipped though, several things happen. First, a noticeable bump to both range and stability right off the bat, and second, when either dealing a final blow or picking up a Thorn remnant from a dead body, the gun gets even more range as well as improved mobility and handling for a short time. In my standalone video detailing the numbers on Thorn, we found it pushed out your damage drop-off point by a respectable amount in PvP, which has already shifted the meta noticeably since the launch of Season 23. There's a lot more Thorn out there if you haven't noticed. And if you're not that into PvP, remember Thorn is still a respectable choice in PvE as well. Thanks to a recent core buff to the gun, picking up a remnant can overload your Thorn's mag up to a max of 40. Not too freaking shabby. You can get the Thorn Catalyst to randomly drop at the end of ritual activities, aka PvP, Gambit, or Strike playlist activities in D2. Cross your fingers and good luck getting that drop. At number 8, we come to Trinity Ghoul. As mentioned earlier, a lot of weapons are just mildly improved by the addition of their exotic catalyst. Trinity Ghoul is absolutely not one of those weapons. Using base Trinity Ghoul is like eating cereal without milk. I mean, yeah, you can, but you're missing out. Having to constantly reproc the Lightning Rod perk over and over is a straight up chore, and that's why the Trinity Catalyst is goated for the weapon. Lightning Rod now triggers from any arc damage final blow. Good lord, what a glow up. Now sure, there are a lot of good contenders in the ad clear department, one of which we'll get to later in this video, but Trinity's ability to mop up trash at long range is near uncontested. What's even better is that 9 times out of 10, once activated, you don't even need to aim. Go ahead and shoot the floor for all I care. You're still probably going to get an electric multi-kill. Any PvE activity that features a lot of long-range engagements, heavy ad-clear encounters, and especially an arc surge is practically begging to be demolished by the ghoul. Like the Thorn Catalyst, the Trinity Ghoul Catalyst can be obtained as a random drop after completing ritual playlist activities in D2. Next, at lucky number 7, Legend of Acreus. Acreus is a DPS exotic that doesn't get called off the bench a ton, but when the situation does call for it, it goes hard, provided, of course, you have the Catalyst, which you should definitely get. Not only does it bump up the pathetic 2 magazine size to a thick AF 6, but on top of that, it gives the gun free trench barrel. If you're new, trench barrel used to be a perk that was so good, Bungie had to throw it over their knee and give it a good spanking, and not in the fun way. However, it's still pretty good, and will buff the damage of your next 3 shots of Acreus by 50% each. With the mag size of 6, the Acreus Catalyst will let you trench barrel off twice for your initial mag, then after that you can just manually reload up until you get back to 3, and then do it again. I have a video showing a dummy easy dungeon farm featuring a fast boss melt with Acreus, and IMO the Catalyst is pretty vital in locking up that one phase. That's just one example, but Acreus truly becomes so much more of a monster with its Catalyst, it's wild. You can get the Acreus Catalyst as an RNG drop when completing Nightfalls. Next up, one that the hunters out there will appreciate extra hard as they jump and roll away from their obligations, Malfeasance. Malf was a pretty ho-hum exotic that lay relatively ignored by the majority of the player base for a while. Who knew that the addition of such a simple exotic catalyst would turn it into a goddamned animal? Enter Vorpal Weapon. Vorpal's damage buff is currently split into 3 different categories. Power weapons get a 10% damage buff, special weapons get a 15% damage buff, and primary weapons get a 20% damage buff on vehicles, bosses, or guardians in their super. In PvE, this turned Malf into a really hard-hitting primary weapon depending on the activity. With its unique perk Taken Predator, Malf also deals bonus damage to taken enemies, and when paired with the hunter exotic the Lucky Pants, the damage goes through the goddamned roof. A 60% stacking damage buff for each shot fired after whipping out a kinetic hand cannon for a short period of time. The bottom line is that a Lucky Pants hunter can absolutely demolish even the beefiest Taken champions alone with just a primary weapon in seconds. If you don't have it yet, the Malf Catalyst can also randomly drop from completing ritual playlist activities. At number 5, we have the extreme meme Poison Supreme Osteostriga. To all the new lights out there watching today's video, don't worry, your Uncle Fallout ain't hitting the pipe. I know that at first glance the exotic doesn't look like it has an exotic catalyst, but it actually does. It just doesn't show up the way it does on other exotic weapons because Osteo is a crafted exotic and works a little bit different. It gives you 30 additional reload speed, not that you're gonna need it, and 20 bonus stability. The more important addition though is that it also makes all of your poison final blows replenish a chunk of ammo directly to your mag, and the mag can also overflow. If you haven't used Catalyst Osteo, wow, you're really missing out, as the poison damage is chef's kiss at ad clear, and the mag can overflow to truly stupid numbers. I legit actually forgot that the Catalyst buffed your weapon's reload speed because you manually reload it so infrequently in game due to the constant mag overflow. And yeah, it's not a DPS monster or anything like that, but it truly is one of the kings of close to medium range ad clear going into 2024, and will no doubt continue to shine bright as we approach the final shape. To get the Osteostriga Catalyst, you simply need to level up the weapon to level 10. Then go ahead and head back to the crafting area at the Enclave and recraft the weapon to include the Catalyst. Coming in at number 4, we have Sleeper Simulant. I'll put it plainly, a sleeper without the exotic catalyst is like an In-N-Out burger that isn't animal style. Freaking tolerable. Get it away from me and you bring that back right, drowned in that tiny onion sauce, or in this case, jacked the hell up with a proper charge time. The catalyst takes that linear charge from a why in the name of God 1024 to a That's what I'm talking about, charge time of 774. There's really not much else to cover on Sleeper, and I really think at this point Bungie should just make the exotic catalyst part of the base kit and sex up the gun a different way with a new catalyst. But again, in terms of exotic catalysts that actually make the weapon viable, Sleeper will never not be on that list. Use it in endgame PvE content to beam boss enemies hard, especially enemies like Callie in Last Wish. She takes extra precision damage if you didn't know. You can get the Sleeper catalyst as a random drop after completing Nightfalls. At number 3, we have the Navigator. This one is a little bit extreme and won't apply to a lot of casual players, but it has to be included on today's video for a really specific reason that I'll get to shortly. At the base level, the Navigator is a pretty fun and unique weapon. Just beam an ally and both you and them get woven mail, nice. The exotic catalyst though is extremely important if you are interested in one particular strategy, aka abusing strand mechanics to savagely beat a boss to death with your bare frickin' hands. You see, the Navigator Catalyst allows you to create a strand grapple point, similar to the one you can create with a Hunter's Widow's Silk aspect. Min, Max, and Strand Titans can use this to deliver never-ending grapple melees, together with both Syntheseps or Worm God Caress, and Banner of War, along with a 1-2 punch shotgun and the tractor cannon to decimate a boss and make it cry for their mommy. As seen in this very popular clip from Day 1 raid god Salt Agrepo, you can use this to flat out solo one phase the first dungeon boss in Warlord's Ruin. It's possible that Bungie will somehow nerf this going into 2024. If that happens, I'll try to remember and update the pinned comment letting y'all know. And I fully understand that new players may not care at all about this strategy because it's some high-level endgame veteran try-hard bullshit, but it's definitely worth mentioning in my opinion. If you don't have the Navigator Catalyst, I actually have a video guide on how to do that. There's a hidden quest you have to complete within the Ghosts of the Deep dungeon. Link to that guide down in the pinned comment. Coming in at number 2, we have Izanagi's Burden. Now, I wouldn't say this one is necessarily mandatory in the same way that Osteo Striga's Catalyst is, meaning the base gun is still very potent on its own. However, Izanagi's Catalyst is damn helpful in making the weapon do what it does even better, hit harder than a 100 milligram special brownie. With the exotic perk Honed Edge, you hold the reload button down and mash the mag into a singular extra damage dealing uber bullet. Honed Edge's buff is 100% extra damage per bullet consumed, so going to a max of 400% if you mash 4 bullets together into one. The catalyst adds an extra 20% on top, taking the extra damage of a 4 masher up to 420%. Now if you're thinking, hey, 420 ain't that much higher than 400, I mean, yeah, you're right. But then again, Izanagi's main use in endgame PvE content at the moment is big boss DPS via Izanagi rocket swapping. It works as follows. You have your Honed Edge bullet ready to go, but open with an auto-loading rocket launcher of some kind. Fire a rocket, swap to Izanagi, fire the Uber bullet, hold reload, and make a new Uber bullet, swap back to rocket, which has now auto-reloaded, rinse, and repeat. This will deal big damage numbers when done properly to a raid or dungeon boss, and when your goal is to deal the absolute most damage possible to a single target, throwing an extra 20% on top of the pile is nothing to sneeze at. Yeah, pales in comparison to 400, but 20% is almost as strong as stacking a Radiant Well on top of your damage numbers for free. Izanagi rocket swapping doesn't seem to be getting nerfed or changed anytime soon going into 2024, so the Catalyst is pretty damn good. Like many other weapons on today's list, you can get the Izanagi Catalyst randomly after completing ritual playlist activities. Finally, at number 1, we have Witherhoard. There are a lot of exotics in D2 that I feel relatively strongly attached to. Witherhoard is high up on that list. I remember once, a long time ago, watching a video where Dado commented on how he never really was a big fan of Witherhoard, didn't kinda see the hype, and I truly felt a deep sense of personal betrayal after hearing him say those words. Witherhoard is a go-to in my usual rotation of endgame PvE weapons, and I've brought it to almost every day 1 raid since acquiring the weapon's exotic catalyst in particular. Base Witherhoard needs to be manually reloaded after every shot, which is a total chore, but the catalyst changes the weapon completely. It turns the Blight Pipe from a sluggish annoyance to a near spammable constant tag-in weapon. Fire out Witherhoard, swap to your primary, continue burning down the room, swap back to Witherhoard, which has now reloaded itself, fire, and repeat. By the time Witherhoard's damage zone on the floor has gone away, it has now auto-reloaded itself, meaning near constant uptime. And Witherhoard is great for tagging a boss during DPS phase, especially when paired with power weapons that have bait and switch. You're gonna tag the big bad with every weapon anyway to proc bait and switch, might as well make your special weapon tag multiple times. I routinely pair Witherhoard together with either Cataclysmic or Apex Predator, two beast mode endgame PvE power weapons. New players looking to get a guaranteed workhorse of an exotic in 2024 should look to get Witherhoard and the exotic Catalyst as early as possible. It will not disappoint you. Smart Money says the gun will be on my Warlock as I enter the day 1 contest mode raid in the final shape. To get the Witherhoard Catalyst, you have to complete the bank job quest, which can be obtained just by talking to Banshee 44 at the tower after you've acquired Witherhoard. If any information on how to obtain any of these exotic catalysts changes as we enter 2024, I'll be sure to go ahead and update the pinned comment, and that'll include any potential new exotics obtained between now and the new year. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.